Hey, today I want to show you guys the theme I've been working on for the past few days. It is the best free-to-play theme for PC Abyss Hard. Now, most themes for this dungeon will look something like this. You will have Julie moving first, one-shotting the wave, then Ergar hopefully buffing, and then just a bunch of team-ups to clear the boss. Or they just give up and just use Prilia, something that applies debuffs, and just go for Brandia. And that's not even free to play, but I got something better even than this. Look, the issue with teams that contain Ergar is Ergar. Now, Ergar on paper is really good, like attack buff, 3D buffs, but his AI is garbage and his first skill doesn't do anything. So then basically he's just a leader, and that's when you start failing and you don't want to do that. So I dropped the Ergar and the Prilia stays in actually. So yeah, basically it's just twins again. But this time they make a lot of sense because, you know, twins are not Ergar, and Ergar sucks. So let's just hop into a run and I'll show you how it runs. So first you have Julie moving, clearing the wave. Then doesn't matter what happens. Then Prilia. Then Ikaru teaming up with everyone. If he kills, he kills. If he doesn't, Sabrina just takes care of it. Then Julie clears the wave. And then here it doesn't really matter what happens. You get hit, so you need will on everything. Then Prilia to defense break. Now, as you can see, the boss, each time he gets hit, he gets a tech bar. Oh, I'll get to how much that is and what that actually means for us a bit later. Then we have Ikaru moving, just teaming up. Then we have more twins. And then Talia, she just uses this third skill and just kills the boss. Like, she basically never goes for S1, so it's not an issue. If everything goes well, it's like 19 to 21 seconds. How does the attack bar work? So the boss has 175 speed, so you want your Julie to have more than that. But at the same time, he gets 35% attack bar each time he gets hit, because it is proportional to his attack speed. And through the magic of recording a run and using a literal ruler to determine how much attack bar he gains, I came to the conclusion that it's 35%, which is 20% of his speed, because this says the attack bar of all allies will be increased up to 50% according to each of their attack speeds when they're attacked. Now he also has this skill, which just absorbs a bunch of attack bar. Building a Julie that one-shots the wave and also it's on double will is like really difficult. So you kind of have to mitigate the fact that the boss can absorb a bunch of attack bar off of the Julie. If you don't mitigate that, you will get lapped by the boss. Basically, he will take a turn before Talia moves. So here I have a full simulation of the boss fight. Each monster will just increase the attack bar of the boss by 35% when they attack it, and then when the boss moves, the worst case scenario is that he attacks the Julie and he will absorb whatever attack bar she has. So he will attack her here, and so I gave him a skill that just sets the Julie attack bar to 0 and increases his own by 14 because she has 14 attack bar here. If your Julie moves on the 8th tick, that means that your Talia will have to be plus 66 speed, so that's 185 combat speed, and everything else will have to be faster than that. Or alternatively, you can make it so that Julie actually doesn't move in the 8th tick, but in 9th, which will mean that all the other monsters have plus 1 more tick on their attack bar, and so it's easier to speed tune it. And that would look something like this. So you would have your Julie moving on 9th tick, so that is 178 combat speed. If you go one more, as you can see, the boss will cut, but on 9th tick it's just fine. The mid-boss has 170 speed, so you will need at least 170 combat speed on your Talia. So yeah, you just squeeze all of your units between 170 and 178 combat speed and you're fine. The easiest way to check is to go here and detail settings, speed display mode, and all of these numbers should be between 178 and 170. Now, this team is pretty difficult to rune, especially on the Julie side. As you can see, she has a pretty good rage set. And for the artifacts, you want a bunch of additional damage by attack and damage on light wherever you can. Additional damage. This Julie is a bit of an overkill. She will still work even if I put Sabrina on rage. Then we have Prilia, double fight will. Everything needs to be willed. Again, damage on light and counter attack. Again, damage on light and co-op damage. She's on damage build just because sometimes you're missing just the tiniest sliver of health on the mid boss and it's infuriating, so you just put her on a bunch of damage. The mid boss has 54 resistance, so you want at least 39 accuracy on your Prilia. Additionally, you would want that accuracy on your Sabrina because she also defense break, but that's highly optional. Even like this, it basically never fails because right after Prilia you have the Ikaru moving. Then we have Ikaru, also double fight will, just a bunch of co-op damage. His stats don't really matter, he's just there for the team up and the fight sets. Then we have Sabrina moving. You can put her on rage, you can put her on whatever, but just make sure that your Julie can one-shot the wave. And then again, bunch of damage on light and co-op damage and more co-op damage and more co-op damage here. And lastly, you have Talia on a rage build with a bunch of co-op damage and damage on light and a bunch of co-op damage as your leader. So that's 24 crit rate for dungeons. That's why everyone has iffy crit rate. It just makes it a lot easier to rune everything while they're willed, because you cannot really use Bladeshead here, and because 24 crit rate is just more efficient than the 25 attack that Julie would give you. Now, you can get away with a lot lower damage on your Talia and your Sabrina. I just optimized it because I wanted to do a bunch of runs and I just didn't want it to fail. So this team runs 20.7 seconds average. It basically never fails. Only 8 runs out of the 500 that I did just for this graph took over 22.2 seconds. Now, how does this compare to all the other teams? Here we have the Ergar and a bunch of Inugamis. The main clump is decently fast, however it fails a bunch, which just skews the average to somewhere around here, and so you don't really want to use that. Especially the Ikaru just takes a long time to actually die, so it slows down the runs tremendously. Then I was also trying this team, so that's with the Ergar and Brandia. It's running on 23.7 seconds average, which is... Now, if you look at the Ignore Defense team, it also basically never fails, and it's about 2 seconds faster, and honestly I don't think it is even beatable with free-to-play monsters, or maybe in general. So if you already have that built, you don't need to even be concerned about this new team. This is just for those folks who either don't have Liam, Sonya, Patrick, or for people who just don't want to use Sonya for just dungeons. Now, if you don't have the runes to rune your Julie to one-shot the wave, I have a Bad Runes edition of this team coming up. It runs slightly slower, but still very, very fast. If that's something that you would like to see, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment down below the video. As always, I'm just gonna go over all of the units and their artifacts and show you some runs. Thank you all for watching. That's it for this one, and see you in the next one.